Hello there, hello, and welcome to today's live stream. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Hope you've had a great week and looking forward to the weekend. I am definitely looking forward to the weekend. My name is Pauline Lehman. I'm the founder of Disparities Community Initiative, Manchester-based charity working and supporting families across, Greater Manchester, the UK, and even, internationally. Our mission is to break the cycle of Black people underachievement in education, to raise aspirations for young Black children, and to be able to promote the well-being of Black and migrant children and their families within this country. We believe so much in the potential within our children, and we believe that, they have the ability to be able to achieve anything that they want to achieve in life. So that is why, our mission, our passion is just to support children and support parents so that they can support their children eventually to maximize their potential, because research shows that children are best placed to succeed in school when parents are actively and strategically involved in their studies. And so that is what really drives me to do the work I do to support parents within the community so that we can change the story of our community to improve the outcomes for our children, because I believe that our children are leaders. Our children are loaded with potential. They have leadership abilities in them. And that is why I come here now and again to talk to parents and, sometimes to talk to young people as well. So I'm here today to talk about an issue that was on the news a couple of weeks ago, the government's racial disparity audit. A report came out that showed disparities in educational attainment, in health, in employment, in treatment by the police and courts, between ethnicities. And the thing during that week, I was contacted by BBC Radio 5 Live to come on a panel that had parents from different backgrounds, that had head teachers and other educators on, and the discussion was around reasons for disparities in educational outcomes of between different ethnicities. So that was what the discussion was all about. It was a very, very exciting discussion because a lot of the points that were raised were, points that resonated with the kind of message that I put out there. And so I thought to come out today to talk about this issue. There are definitely disparities in educational attainment and life outcomes, between ethnicities. Why are these? Why do we have these disparities, and what can we do about it? I'm going to read here some of the things that were mentioned. It says some of the things are: Chinese and Asian secondary school pupils perform better than white and Black children, particularly those eligible for free school meals. So that was one of them. Another one says, among children aged between 7 and 11, that's key stage 2, 71% of Chinese children met the expected standard for reading, writing, and maths, compared with 54% of white British pupils and 13% of Gypsy and Roma pupils. And it also went on to say that Black children are 3 times more likely to be permanently excluded from school compared to their white counterpart or counterparts from other ethnicities. So there are definite issues there, and for some this was news. For me, I follow this news and it is not news. These are trends that have been historical, that have been long-standing from the 70s. And I believe that, as a community, we could take one of two approaches. We could either choose the approach of complaining about the government, complaining about the inequalities, complaining about the system, complaining about everything, that is happening that we're not happy with, or we could be a proactive community that decides to do something different to change that status quo. And Star Rich's Community Initiative mission is to help to change the status quo. It's not to complain about the government. It's not to complain. Yes, it's not perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect. There is no system that is perfect. The healthcare system is not perfect. The financial institutions are not perfect. As long as we are on earth, I don't think there's going to be any perfect system. But I believe that as a community, we could start to do things differently to be able to ensure that, we change the outcomes for ourselves and for our children and for the future generation. So it lies within us to make that change happen. We can't really rely on the government for that. And so in this discussion, I encourage you to share your thoughts, to share your experiences, to share your ideas. It's going to be very conversational. I'm going to be asking lots of questions because the aim here is focusing on a solution, looking for a solution-focused approach. So yes, there are all these issues, but we want to look for a solution. What can we as a community do to be able to change this report? Why is the Chinese child, why is the Pakistani, or why is the Indian child performing better in school? They are both migrants. A lot of the parents don't have English as their first language. What are they doing differently that we as a Black community are not doing? So those are the things that I'm going to be throwing at us today in the form of questions to get us to think about the things we do, to be able to think about what we can do differently to ensure that our children take advantage of the opportunities and have better outcomes. Right, so as a community, we need to take responsibility. The truth is that, your child's well-being and holistic outcomes does not depend on the government. It doesn't depend on the school. It doesn't depend on the social services. It depends on you and it depends on your child. When we bring children into the world, we have a responsibility, we have a moral duty to ensure that we are parenting them and giving them the best opportunities in life. And that is what I believe that other communities like the Chinese, the Indians, and so on are doing right and are making the right choices and the right decisions to position their children aright. So let's talk about the educational outcome. We know there is, the disparities are there, the differences are there, the inequalities are there. But what are these people doing that we are not doing? Now, how involved are you in your child's studies? Now, a Chinese woman on the program spoke about a typical Chinese parents' involvement in their child's education. And these are the sort of things I talk about, when I come on air. How involved are you? The question was asked around in that discussion on BBC 5 Live, like, how do you value education? And everybody said they valued education. And I said, it's one thing to value education, and it's another thing to then go on and do the things that show that you value education. Yes, everybody values education. I'm sure there's no parents that will say they don't value education. But what are the actions they take to show that they value education? Okay, and these are some of the things I'm going to be throwing back at us. Do we just value it? I know for those of us from an African descent, we definitely value education there. We see parents going out of their way to provide resources to send their children to the best schools, to give them the best opportunities in life. So we know that we value education, and we know the things that our parents used to do to ensure that we fulfill our educational capacity. The question is, are we doing the same things? Do you understand the educational system? Do you understand its structure as a parent? Do you know what targets your child is set? Do you know how to move them from one level to another? Now, if you don't know about the structure of the school system, you don't know that there are different types of schools, the independent schools, the state schools, and the grammar schools. If you don't know that, then there is a problem. If you don't know that where you live would determine the quality of education your child receives, then there is an issue. And I think that is where what the other communities are doing right. They get into a country, into a new environment, and they try to understand the dynamics of that environment so that they can then position themselves and their children are right. But we can't just get here and get on with working hard and looking for money and not understanding everything else that goes in this community that can help us, position our children aright to give them better outcomes. So are you familiar with the options available, your school options available for your child? And if you are, what are you doing about it? Do you know you can move neighborhood to get into a better neighborhood so that your child can go into good schools and get a better education? If you do, what are you doing about it? Okay, so those are some decisions that we have to make. It's our responsibility. The government will never do that for us. The government will not make that decision for you. It is clear, it is a fact that schools in deprived areas are the lowest attaining schools. So that is a fact. So if you're living in a deprived area, what are the decisions you're going to make? Are you going to prepare your child for those selective exams to get them into good secondary schools? Are you going to move to areas where your child can have the best education? Now, the Asian parent that was on the panel said he had to move homes about 4 or 5 times to ensure his children go to the best schools. And he moved into Altrincham, and that is where his children go to school. So if you are not in a good neighborhood, what can you do about it? So there's something, it all lies within you to make those right choices. How much time, resources are you willing to invest to ensure that your child does well in school? Now, if you live in a deprived area, I've said this and I say it over and over again, you need a supplementary form of education to help your child maximize their potential. Yes, and there's so much available. There are supplementary schools. You can look them up online. In most cities, there is Kumon, there are other tutoring centers, there are tutors that you can engage to help support your child to polish up those areas, those gaps that they have in their learning in school. Because as you said before, I say it over and over again, children do not learn 100% in school. Children learn at different rates. Some subjects are more complex, and so they'll need a bit more help to be able to actually grasp those concepts. So are you able to do it? If you're able to do it, that is great. If you're not able to do it, are you seeking that extra help, extra support for your child? And then the next thing I want to ask is, what vision do you have for your child? And when I do parenting workshop and trainings, and I ask parents, if I say, what vision do you have of your child? Where do you see your child in the next 10 to 15 years? What career do you see your child doing? What life do you see your child living? What quality of life do you want for your child? Now, if you have a great vision, a big dream for your child, then you're likely to invest the resources that are needed to be able to help your child attain this. But if you're not, then you won't invest the resources. You won't even know that this school is not the right school for my child. I need to get my child out of there. Or my child meets a bad company in that school, and I see my child's attitude, behavior changing, and I have to do something about it. So these are the sort of things. So what vision do you have for your child? Now, we know for the average Asian, they want their children to go into key careers, into the medicine, into engineering, into law, into those, high-paying career. That is a vision they have. You could have your reservation regarding it, but I think that because they aim high and they have a great vision for their children, that is why they have risen up and are in all spheres of society within this country. And I have a lot of respect for these communities. I think it's important for us to aim high, to have a big dream, a big goal for our children, because we have experienced life, we've experienced the challenges of life, we've experienced what what it is to work hard to put food on the table. There are some people earning, the minimum wage, which is £7 something per hour, whereas others earn £150, £300 per hour. Why should you not want your child to earn that? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it all lies within what we do and the choices and decisions we make as parents. Remember, 90% of how your child turns out depends on you. It doesn't depend on the government. So that is about educational outcomes. We need to make the right decisions. The type of school our children go to, yes, the type of friends they connect with in those type of schools influences their perspectives, influences their motivation, influences, their mindsets. And that is why, to protect these children, we need to make some really, really difficult but important decisions. Now, the other issue is pupil exclusions. Yes, Black children are 3 to 4 times more likely to be excluded. Decisions are made very quickly. Yes, I would say yes. I won't say no to that. Now, we have no control over the people making those decisions. Yes, we can take legal action. There are things we can do, but I am more of what is the solution? What can we do about it? When children are excluded, they're excluded due to consistent misbehavior. I've been a teacher for 13 years, and I've never seen a good student being excluded. Students who get excluded either on fixed term or long term or permanent exclusion is due to poor behavior. Children make it difficult for teachers to teach. Children that are rude, that are disruptive, that are aggressive towards teachers, towards their peers, okay, are obviously there is no school that would be able to have such a student in their classroom. So if report says that Black children are 3 times more likely to be excluded. Yes, let's forget about discrimination. It does exist, yes. But then your child and my child would never be excluded if their behavior is right. So there are some decisions and some choices for us to make. Do you know what your child's behavior is like at school? Okay? Sometimes we are in denial. A lot of parents, even when I used to teach and I used to speak to some parents, they would argue and fight back and defend their children, but these children were completely out of control, completely out of order. So you need to know what your child's behavior is like at school. A lot of things could influence a child's behavior at school. It could be peers, who they hang out with. Obviously we know that bad company corrupts good character and good behavior. So you want to really know, you want to find out from your children's teacher what their behavior is. It's easy in primary school. You can speak to your child's teacher when you pick them up at the end of the school day. For secondary school, you could speak to the head of year and ask them to find out, send an email around to all teachers to inquire about your child's behavior. It's really important that you know, because unless it gets to an extreme, they won't normally tell you, especially in state schools where lots and lots of children have behavioral problems. Okay, so you really need to ensure that you do that. Ade, thank you very much. He said, well done, ma. Thank you, Ade, and thank you for joining us this evening. I hope it is really, really helpful and beneficial to you and to all those who have joined us today. So in terms of your child's behavior, do you feel you have the tools to be able to manage your child's challenging behavior? I've had parents who have actually come into school seeking for support. Support is out there. If you think your child's behavior is getting out of hand, you think you can't handle it, you think you need support, the school can help you. A parenting course will go a long way to help you. It might simply be to do with your parenting style. You might need to change it. For a lot of us within the community, we come into this country and we try to parent our children the way we were parented. It doesn't work in this part of the world. We parent our kids in a very, very harsh way. There is no relationship with these children. We distance ourselves. The only time we talk to them is when we want to shout at them. We want to tell them off. Now we need to develop a different approach to our parenting that will help our children grow up into confident children. You know, the way sometimes we speak to them, we shout at them, tell them off, use really harsh language that demeans them, make them feel small. Now, all of this affects a child's self-confidence. And when they go out there, their self-confidence, their self-belief is completely squashed. They don't even believe in their ideas. They don't even have the courage to talk, to speak out in the classroom because the parents have made them feel so small. The family, which is meant to be the family home, which is meant to be a safe haven, has become the place where the child's mindset, the child's sense of self-worth is being damaged. So if we have issues in this area, if you're the parent that is always angry, always shouting, then you need to seek support. You need to seek help to ensure that you get, enlightened about positive parenting strategies, because a lot of it is to do with parenting. A lot of it, when it goes wrong with children, there is a lot behind it that we need to be looking at our parenting style. Ade says parents need to keep up with parents meeting, yes, and communicate with the teachers. Oh, that has gone now. Let's see if I can bring it down and communicate with the teachers and their children to know how they are getting on in school. Absolutely. Yes, you need to do that regularly. I suggest, especially if you think your child has got issues with their learning, you think they're not where they ought to be, you think their behavior is not right, you have signals, you need to ensure that monthly you are contacting these teachers and you are keeping on top of their behavior, of their schoolwork. You are setting goals, you're working with the teachers, working with the school to ensure that your child maximizes their potential. And Ade also says, exactly, it's not about shouting or smacking, but one-to-one talk, yes, and giving examples to the children in order to point them to the right direction. Thank you so much, Ade, for your very, very valuable contributions. So I fully do agree with you on that, and I think it is a key issue within the community, and that is why we see an increasing number of children being taken away from families. I was in a meeting with one of the leaders in social services, and she said the rate of referral is about 1,000 a month, and it's a lot. 1,000 children who get referred to social services a month is a lot. So it's a lot to do with parenting style strategies, and we need to ensure that we work on that as parents, as a community. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about are the opportunities. What are you exposing your child to the range of skills and experiences that your child needs to help expand their minds, to add value to their lives, and to enable them to compete successfully with children from all other backgrounds? So I'm going to ask you the question, what is the range of extracurricular involvement your child is involved with? What are the activities they do out of school? So it's not just focusing on their schoolwork, on getting the grades, but it's focusing on the child's holistic development. It's focusing on their social skills, ensuring that they have the right social skills, because in our day and age, social research is showing that social skills is even more becoming more important than the grades in terms of helping adults succeed in life. So an adult with the right social skills will climb up the ladder at the place of work very fast. Yes, grades are good. They'll open doors to elite universities for your child. Grades are good. They'll open doors, to very competitive courses for your child. But social skills, emotional intelligence, a wide range of experiences is really important in helping our children become confident. The more a child knows, the more a child is exposed to, the more confident they are. So that is why we see children who are involved in sports and who are doing well in it. They get confident in that because they know that they're good at something. So we need to find out what our children are good at, and let's nurture that area so that they have something that they can be confident about. That is going to go a long way, to help build their confidence in other areas of their lives, to help them know that they can do it, they can achieve, they are good at something. So what are we exposing our children to? A lot of us in the community are working hard, having 2 jobs, 3 jobs, having great projects back in Africa. In a lot of cases, we don't even plan to go there in the near future. The projects are good, but it's important to focus and invest on the here and now, because once the children have passed, primary school and the wrong foundation has been laid, it becomes really, really difficult to straighten the bent stick. So let's expose them to those opportunities. What are we doing as parents to raise our children's aspirations? Are we exposing them to those opportunities out there? Are we taking them to those open days to see, the good schools, the good universities? Are we showing them role models, people that have done well, even within the community, in careers, in business, in sports? That is how we can help raise children's educational attainment and aspirations generally in life. Because I would say, for example, in this country, when we look at the government, we look at the MPs, there aren't many blacks. And so it's easy for a black child to believe that it's not for us. That's not where we should be. When we look at the NHS, we see, yes, there are a lot of blacks, there are a lot more Asians, but we need to expose our children to these role models so that they know that these are not just for others, it's for them. It's something they too can aspire to attain. So we need to raise their aspirations. We need to be increasing their self-confidence, helping them believe that they can do it. I've heard a lot of children and, parents, say things like, oh, this is not for you. You're black. Don't go there. It's not for you. It's for white people. It's for this and it's for that. Now, when we start to have that kind of mindset as parents, believe you me, our children pick it up really quickly and they hold on to it. Your mindset will be translated to your child's. I've come across a few children who scored A star, 1 A star, and 3 A's, or 1 A star and 2 A's at A levels. And I was asking them, why did you not consider going to Oxford or Cambridge? And what they said to me was shocking and really regrettable. They said, they say when you're black and you go there, you'll be a misfit, you will not, you will struggle, you will be discriminated upon. So you have all this sort of mindset, issues that we need to work on. Because currently, Oxford and Cambridge only have 1.5% or offer admissions to 1.5% of black children. Now, the government is pushing for these universities to take on more black children. But if the black children don't apply, then they can't come and force them. They can't pull them into those schools. So let's encourage our children to raise the bar for themselves, to rise above those limitations. Skin color should not be a limitation. Yes, we are, let's learn to appreciate who we are, love who we are. There is beauty in diversity. I believe there is beauty in diversity. There's richness in multiculturalism, which this society has become. It shouldn't be a limitation. So let's start to encourage our children. Let's start to break those limitations, in their mindsets. But it starts with us. We need to start to change our mindset. We need to start to tell them that we can do anything. You can be a CEO of, Fortune 500 organization. You can be the director of, department in the NHS. You can be an MP. You can be a minister. Thank God we have about 7 black MPs now. I think there are, yes, in the UK, which is great. And I'm so grateful for these people who have taken the bold step, to come out of that mindset, that limiting mindset, and, challenge themselves to put, to stand in those key positions. We need more of us there. We need more of our kind speaking for us, speaking on behalf of our community, raising up issues to do with our community, so that we can have equality and we can, we can have equal opportunities for ourselves and for our children. I'm just going to read the few comments that have been coming. I didn't get the chance to read them. Please get the comments coming. It says a lot of parents are not knowledgeable enough, and some are uneducated or ignorant about parenting due to the way we were brought up back home. That is very true. It's not just in Nigeria, it's all across the countries in Africa, which does not work in the diaspora. That is right. It doesn't work here. So we need to think of other ways of raising up our children. And the beauty of the generation we live in is that there is so much information out there on the internet. There are classes you can take. There are books you can read to help you. It's very true. Your children are your future investment, not houses and material things. That is right. And when parents who understand that, yes, I've seen parents who work hard and send their children to private schools. Now, these are not parents who are actually in high earning job, but they have decided to make that investment. And investing in your child's life is an investment that definitely will yield dividends. Because when your child is in the right school, in a good school environment, it's not just the grades, it's the experience.